So, what is perfectionism? It's a belief, right? It is the belief that your worth depends on performing without flaw, right? In order to be perfect or to have worth, you need to perform perfectly. But let's take that a little bit deeper, right? Perfectionism is a coping mechanism. It's a strategy that you learned that provides safety, approval, or value. But it's done by meeting unrealistically high standards and avoiding mistakes. And that's really scary and that's hard. And so these things come from a very deep place in our past that if I'm perfect, you are given safety, you are given approval, you do have value. And those are really hard things to live up to, especially because we tend to set really high markers for what those standards look like. So here's how perfectionism can show up. I'm not going to read each and every one of them, but you begin to hear this very all or nothing language, comparison thinking. You're constantly going to be comparing yourself to others. We all do this. Perfectionism is a very ego driven state where we become very focused on ourselves. Right. If I don't do this, we become very catastrophizing, where it's like everything becomes so urgent that if I don't do it now, then what will happen? And we begin to think of the worst case scenarios. And funny enough, right? Remember how I mentioned that anxiety is kind of like a hypnotic state in itself? Perfectionism can be too, because again, you are so focused on this, like what awful outcome that could be happening. And you begin to become prey to like all of those thoughts, those worries, and this urgency to take action from a place of fear. And so we want to make sure that as we go through the week too, that we are keeping fear at bay. We are just checking in with it. What does it need? What does it want? What does it need to feel successful? And what does it need to feel valued too? Because if we need to feel valued, that's a reasonable need to, is to want to feel valuable. It's just how can we do that without it becoming so catastrophizing in our world? So, here are the pain points that you might notice as a perfectionist. Chronic exhaustion. You're always trying to measure up. That's really tiring. I get it, right? We work so hard, right? Just in the daily grind. If we have a job, if we have kids, if we have life, we just want to keep up with it. But then when you're adding that it has to be perfect, it's almost like adding an extra weight. And while we can get stronger from it, it does tend to lead to burnout, right? And maybe you're not even finding that it's satisfying because you never reach that pinnacle, right? You can never reach your goals. So you're constantly reaching, 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 reaching. Um, that's self criticism because if you're not executing like what it is you want and you're constantly having these goals that are never obtainable, you're going to constantly keep saying, well, then it must be me, right? And if it must be me, then it means that I'm not good enough. I'm not this, I'm not that, and you're going to compare yourself to other people. So it becomes a very painful cycle that keeps going around and around and around. Perfectionism, if we look at the, pathology of it, it doesn't just develop randomly. It comes as an adaptation. So maybe it was approval that your parents, if you didn't reach these standards, if you didn't execute things perfectly, if you didn't, get an A, then you're not good enough. You don't get their approval and you just get rejected, right? So you get rejected, rejected, rejected. Maybe you were criticized constantly as a child or from teachers or life or people, made fun of, bullied, and so if you're not good enough, you're just going to get criticized and therefore you have to constantly be reaching perfectionism. Maybe it was a comparison too. You're not as good as your brother or your sister or your father, or maybe it's a self-imposed one, right? My parents were both doctors, therefore it's like if I'm not a doctor, I'm not good enough. It's really hard. It can also become from anxiety regulation. Perfection, creates outcomes, right? So, when we have this anxiety, we use it as a regulator. I need to regulate my anxiety. I need to work harder. I need to keep going. I need to fix. If I fix it, then these are really hard things to live by. And so, what we need to look at also is that perfectionism is so greatly tied into our identity. It is such a core belief that we want to feel safe, we want to feel accepted, we want to feel good enough that we do anything to accomplish it. And that's where the trying comes, right? It comes from action, but it comes from action out of fear. And remember when we talked about energy levels, it is coming from this place of catabolic energy where it's like you're doing it out of fear, not out of excitement, not out of a desire to become and learn more. It comes from this place of if I don't, a place of fear. And that is what keeps it in the catabolic energy realm. And it's very egocentric, right? It's like, I need this so that I can feel better, so that I can feel safe, I can feel protected. And we want to help shift that today because it's a very tough place to come from. I think when we can strive for excellence, just that simple shift, right? That having pride in our craftsmanship, taking pride in, detail versus again, what's not here when we're striving for excellence is fear. It's not that catastrophizing. It's not that worry that like it means that I have value or worth. It's we just know we do. And we don't need that exterior like validation for it. It's bringing, there's shame. There's so much shame that comes from perfectionism in terms of where it comes from and how we move through it. And like, I always tell people if perfectionism is not a problem for you, right? If I'm not here to make problems with clients, I'm just here to highlight that as we go through this week to just checks and balances, right? How can we come from a place of strength and confidence versus fear and worry? How can we just make sure that we're doing things well and intentional versus like urgency and stress? There is flexibility within this. So let's see what Claire's talking about. Lots of us are late bloomers. Good for you, Liz. I agree. I feel like I haven't figured my life out in so many ways at 44. And I keep shifting paths. I feel like I'm like this sailboat that's constantly going boop, 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 boop. In my mind, it was supposed to be a straight line, but there's so many renditions of ourselves, and that's the amazing part. Let's get into some hypnosis. Reinvention is beautiful, Claire. I agree. So I think what I wanted to do today, and again, I apologize if I'm coming off a little low energy today. I'm still not feeling super great. But what I wanted to do was to have us sort of slip into a light hypnotic state to really inspect our perfectionists that live within us. Um, as I mentioned, we have every part of us within us, right? We have our perfectionist, we have our people pleaser, we have our joy, we have our love person part, every bit of them. They come forward when there's a need. And so, what I find really interesting is that when we can pull up a seat for this part of us, when we can visualize them not internally but externally, it gives us the opportunity to inspect them, to see them from a different perspective. Because I find when we talk about our perfectionist internally, um, it's sort of hard to separate ourself from them. We judge them because it's ourself and it's easy to judge ourself. We criticize, we shame, we blame. We tend to not have as much compassion. And so, what I want to visualize and imagine today is really guiding you guys through allowing that part of us to come forward to see them as if they were someone else, because it's so much easier to give advice to someone else or to see it, what we can shift, or I'm going to air quote fix when we see it in someone else. And so, we're going to give that part of us permission to come forward today. I invite you to lay down. You can put a pillow under your back if you have one, so you're not fully laying down, but maybe just sitting up a bit. If you're sitting in a chair, that's perfectly okay too. I like to say feet flat on the ground, back against the chair. Make sure you feel supported. And now that we're ready, I'm going to turn this bright, bright, bright light off on my face. And let's start. Let's start with our eyes closed. Let's start with just like a minute of silence and just calmness, just breathing, however you feel like breathing, deep breaths, light breaths, box breath. Just breathe for me. Just take in this silence, the background noise. Just Just allow your thoughts to be there, whatever comes up. The goal right now is not to turn our thoughts off. The goal is to just be with our thoughts, with our breath. Good. Now I'm going to invite you to just open your eyes gently. Look around the room and then pause and just close your eyes again. Good. Permission to just notice the difference of how it feels when the eyes are closed versus when they're open. And then I want you to go ahead and open your eyes one more time. Just notice that difference of how it feels with your eyes open, looking around, taking in information. And then you're going to go ahead and close your eyes again. And this time when you close them, really feel that dark twilight expanse behind the eyelids. Just recognizing this place is for you. In this moment, there's nowhere you need to go. There's nowhere you need to be. And there's nobody wanting or needing anything from you. All the sounds and things that are going on around you, it's just background noise. You have permission to be here right now. And what a wonderful gift you can give yourself is to just know that we're going to go into this wonderful state. We're going to go into this place where you can release, relax, unwind, let go, where we can observe and be aware from a place of the subconscious. And if you're ready, you can hear your mind saying, I am ready. I am ready. I am ready. And to be ready just simply means giving your body permission to unwind, your body permission to get heavy. And so we'll start at the top of the head. And we'll just imagine a soothing liquid being poured over the head. This liquid will eventually move all the way down to your toes, but we're going to just go bit by bit. We're going to move it down over the neck, allowing all the muscles in your neck to relax. Allowing all the muscles in the shoulders to soften. And when your shoulders soften and your head begins to feel heavy because the neck is relaxed, I'd be curious to wonder of which way, if your head were perfectly balanced on your shoulders, if the neck were to relax so fully, which way would your head begin to move? To the left? Would it roll to the right? And as the shoulders relax more, you begin to take up space here in this moment. You become more and more present, more and more grounded into this moment. That this moment has a sensation, it has a feeling, it has a connection to what you're sitting on or laying on. Feel that connection under your back. Create connection points. places where you specifically can feel connected to the earth or the chair or the ground, to the moment. Connect. Feel your lower back soften as that soothing liquid moves down more. Feel it pool around your lower back, moving over the hips. Allow it to move down your legs. Allow a gentle stillness that even though this liquid is flowing, it causes a soothing stillness in the legs. Nowhere you need to go, nowhere you need to be. Nobody wanting or needing anything from you. Just to be here. That soothing liquid moves down to the feet. And it's a continuous flow as if you were feeling that flow from the head moving down the back, down the legs, and past the feet. You could visualize what it would be like laying in a river, and just the water moving past you, through you, over you. The current carrying away any tension, any tightness. Just allowing this stillness. Can you feel it? As you draw your awareness and your thoughts into your arms, move that soothing fluid, that sensation, that soothing liquid down to the tips of your fingers. Let it continue. Allow the arms to get heavier, more relaxed. Allow them to sink. Draw your awareness to the tips of your fingers. Can you feel a light tingle, a warmth? Can you move it into the palm of your hand? Or even higher into the wrists? Can you feel it in your toes? The soles of your feet? Can you move it up the legs? As you move your thoughts to the center of your forehead, could you imagine or visualize, picture, pretend, or sense a light tingle in the top of your head? And I wonder what it would look like or be like for you to activate your mind's third eye there in the center of your forehead. As your mind's third eye begins to activate and open, we give permission to the body to rest. And as the mind's eye opens, we visualize our happy place. A place that you can go to where you're calm and relaxed. A place that you can always return to with your thoughts. And whether you see it clearly or it's just a thought, you allow yourself to be there fully. You allow yourself to embrace its energy. Now I'd like you to visualize just to the right of you a door. It might not make any sense if you're in a beautiful field, for example, that there's a door there. But we're just going to build in a door to this visual to your happy place. It's a door that's going to lead you into another place, a place that we've designed in previous sessions, but one that we're going to create anew for anyone new. I'd like you to walk over to this door, and I'd like you to put your hand on the handle, whether it's a knob or a bar. And I'd like you to begin to turn or open the door and feel just a lot of sunlight coming through. And it's like you're stepping into this sunlight, into this beautiful room of bright light. As you step in fully, you're going to see yourself in this beautiful white room with a soft carpet down on the floor. And in front of you, floor to ceiling windows that go along the wall that you're facing, that look out into a beautiful meadow of wildflowers. As you close the door behind you, the sunlight in the room feel warm. And I invite you to sit on the carpet, on this soft carpet. And you can run your hands over the carpet and feel how soft it truly is. It's soothing. It's relaxing. And it's here in this safe place, in this light, in this warmth, that we can explore, we can be curious, that we can feel and see. And you know that the door to leave is just behind you. You can go back to your happy place at any point. And if you choose to stay in this place, we can invite to join you your perfectionist self. This part of you that can be self-critical or can be anxious. This part of you that has set such high expectations. This part of you that wants so much to do things so well that it may even be coming at a cost to you. As we allow them to formulate here in this room, as we allow them to join you on the carpet, you might notice the first thing about them, notice their age. And without judgment, is it your younger self? Is it more recent? How are they behaving? Here in my room, my perfectionist self is very anxious. As you allow yourself to observe them, what they do, the energy they have, we see them in context in this new light. We watch, we observe. But I invite you to also check in with yourself as your logical, rational, reasonable self that's here on the carpet too. How do you feel about your perfectionist self? What do you notice when you watch them? How they behave? How do you feel about them? It's an interesting experience as we watch them and get to know them. A need begins to present itself. You've lived this experience with them. And I'd like you to step into your caregiving role, and recognize that you, as the logical, reasonable person on this beautiful carpet here with them, has the ability to offer them insight, truth, compassion. And I'm wondering, what is it that your perfectionist self needs to know? What is it they need to hear? And what would it look like and be like and feel like if you could help them knowing what you know? I'd like to fill this room with a future energy, the energy of when we learn the truth, when we can show compassion and love and energy toward our perfectionist self. A new pathway forward can present itself. It's as if we could take their hand and say, there's a better way. There's another way. It's like the future energy begins to move and swirl. The room begins to fill with a new energy, an empowering energy. That things can be better, they can feel better. Can feel easier and be even more successful. What can you share with your perfectionist part that can change the course of your future right now? Allow them to embody that. Allow it to sink deep into their mind. Visualize your perfectionist self hearing this truth, this knowledge. And just like Cinderella transforms with the magic of her amazing godmother, allow your perfectionist self to begin to transform, to shift, to change, to course correct in a more grounded and present way. Allow the sunlight in the room to become brighter and brighter. So bright that the room becomes completely invisible to your eye because it is so bright and beautiful. Take the hands of your old perfectionist self and begin to see who they turn into. Are they confident and strong, balanced and beautiful? Observe them now when we give them permission to let go of what no longer works. And then I want you as your hands hold theirs, to embody this energy into yourself. This is me. I am them. As you embody this part of you that has released perfectionism, allow that old part, that perfectionism, to disappear like smoke leaving through the top of the room, just dissipating. Feel the room feel cleansed and clear. Stand up on the carpet, that soft, soft carpet. And even though the room is so bright and white and light, move toward where you remember the door to your happy place to be. With this balanced self, we'll open the door, move into your happy place. Be there fully. And as you're there fully, take a nice deep breath that this orientation, this new shift within you is safe. And as it's safe, as we thank what the perfectionist self had tried to help us do, we're appreciative that we have a new way we can move forward, that you can move forward today. And when you're ready, I invite you to take a nice deep cleansing breath and count up with me from 0 to 5. And when you're ready, opening the eyes at 5. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, allowing your eyes to open and wide awake.